Hey everybody, today I decided to clean up and go through the carburetor on my 2008 CRF 150R dirt bike. This is a great bike. The problem is I've kind of been neglecting it and haven't kept up on maintenance or basically anything with it. So this video series is going to be a three-parter. So we'll explain how to disassemble the bike, how to clean and service the carburetor, and then the last part would be obviously putting it back together. You might notice that you need to do this stuff if you got any gaskets leaking or something doesn't look right or it runs really funny. And in my case, because I didn't drain the carb over the winter, I'm guessing all the jets got kind of plugged up or gummy, or if it wasn't the jets, the passages in the carburetor. So it was giving me a hard start and basically a no start. It would putter over for a second and then shut right off. So without further ado, let's just start taking parts off and get on to the carb. We're going to start with the rear fenders here. Luckily, this bike is pretty much made out of 13 millimeters and 10 millimeter fasteners or bolts. We do find a Torx later on and a couple Allen wrench sockets, but cap head screws I should say. But overall, you're going to only need about 5-6 tools to get this whole bike apart. Luckily, Honda engineers did design these pretty thoroughly and easily to facilitate any maintenance and basically any repairs. After those fenders come off, we're going to take the seat off. That seat just pops off after you get the rear fender bolts out. Go ahead and remove that air filter, and if you're like me, you're probably going to have to order one soon if it's been sitting a while or just has probably never been changed, because I can tell you I've never changed it. It does run good though. Oh, it does feel sticky and gross though. Let me take a look back in there real quick, because I thought I saw someone that pulled the filter off. And sure enough, yep, there's something in there. I don't think this is helping my intake anything good. Looks like some hornets or wasps. Tried to make it home there right at the end of last season. We'll rip that out, get that out of there. It's trash. And then go on to the rear fender real quick. Again, 10 millimeter bolts. Pretty straightforward here. After you pull those lower fender bolts out, the side fender ones need to come off. These are kind of goofy, have retaining nuts on the back of them that hold the actual plastic fender in place. Unfortunately, I just found out, I guess I was falling down too much or one too many rear wheelies that definitely went past noon. My fender is broken. Gonna have to order one of those. Unfortunate, but at least I found it now and it didn't just rip off somewhere in the woods. Anyways, so that one didn't break free. Grab a pair of pliers, break that sucker loose, and out it comes. Let's loosen up the intake. This is one of those Allen screws that I was talking about. That was a number 5 there for you. Pull the one out of the side, and then go ahead and take out those little push pins. You might have actual push pins in yours. Like all these models might have slight variances, but they should be roughly the same. But in this case, mine were actually push pins that needed to have the center pulled out before it go out, not the tree style. So luckily I don't need to replace these. Seems like those break pretty quickly. A lot of stuff I should explain. I'm going to be using a lot of WD-40 for a lot of everything. I use a lot of WD-40 because it's oil and it helps stuff move easier and it's a good cleaner. You'll probably see me use a lot of WD for everything later on in more videos as I keep making them. So little WD on that air inlet, or it's kind of like a breather vent. So spray some of that in there and then wiggle it free and out. It popped right out for you. I'm going to take off the rock guard, or kind of the like rear fender mud flap and the shock protector there. 2 Phillips screws. And this is above and beyond. You actually don't need to go this far for the carb stuff, but since I was here and I just wanted to clean up and keep inspecting stuff, I'm basically going to disassemble the whole bike and just look over everything and see if the bike needs anything. It's kind of important to do this, especially with something you ride hard and fast. And I'm guessing most people riding their dirt bikes don't just Sunday grandma cruise to church. I'm pretty sure we're all hammering the crap out of these things. So guys, you should take the time and take a second to look over what you're going to be riding and make sure your life is in good hands. And in those hands, well, I mean, they should be your own hands. You should watch over and look over your own stuff and make sure it's running good. So anyways, Decided to take everything apart, and we're going to do the fenders, the exhaust, and clean some of the stuff off, get some of the grass out where it shouldn't be. And after those front fenders come off and the tank guard stuff, we're going to take off the exhaust. And this is 3 bolts for the rear muffler. These are, if I will remember, 13 millimeter, so 3 of them. For your exhaust clamp, you do not need to remove the entire bolt. This guy just loosen up and then make sure it is plenty far loose, and it should be good to go. The other 2 bolts you're going to need to definitely take out. So once those bolts are out, and you probably drop one on the floor like I did, go ahead and spray that exhaust clamp with some WD and get the oil in there. And simply enough, you're just going to wiggle this guy back and forth, maybe give it a little rotate, and it's going to pop right off for you. And I do wipe everything as I go. I kind of wipe everything as I go, as I clean, and as I service stuff. So I just like to stay tidy. Leaving oil and fluids on stuff makes it gross and dirty if it touches any dirt. So you'll be seeing me wipe stuff down as I go, and probably as it goes back together. With the rear muffler off, go ahead and take the front header, the front exhaust pipe off the motor. These are 2 10mm studs, or 2 10mm nuts that are on the studs. And these might have a little corrosion on them. You might have to blow them off with an air gun, or just hit it with a little wire brush so you get the dirt off of them. There we go, slide that right out, and we can keep on going. I do put nuts back on, or bolts back in certain spots, and other times I leave them in my nut and parts tray. So it just depends on what I'm working on and how I'm doing it. The rear frame is next. This is the part you have to remove the whole rear intake. Mine had a weird long bolt in there, and it was like double nutted. That was before me, but that's how I saw it, and that's how it's probably going to go back together. So I had to break that inner nut free, and now go ahead and start taking your bolts out. The rear frame has 3 bolts holding it on. I will leave the bottom 2 in and loose, and take out the top first probably, just to hold it in place so it doesn't wiggle out of the way or drop, for any reason. This is probably actually similar to other Honda models, and could probably get you by for many models. I'm guessing a couple years older or newer, but luckily it's pretty straightforward and easy to take apart. So with your top bolt off there, we're going to slide that guy out and pop off our lower 2 bolts, and then we're going to give this thing a couple wiggles. No WD here, you probably shouldn't need it, probably wouldn't need it, but it's going to come right off, hopefully pretty easily. Nice, look at that, came right off. Cool, and that's our rear assembly. Now that's out of our way, we're going to be able to attack the intake. The intake is held on by 1 clamp that's on the carb inlet. Once you loosen that up, the intake should come off pretty easily. You're going to give it a couple wiggles, and it's going to pop right off. Also, don't forget that vacuum line that's at the top there. It has like a little hand clamp. You can just move that with your hand. Don't forget that line. So, oh wait, let's take another look in there. What's going on? Oh man, that's not good. Well, it is a dirt bike, right? So we're gonna have to clean this up. We're gonna check for. Oh yeah, that's more goo. It's like some fuel, oil, dirt mixture of some sorts. But we're gonna have to definitely clean this guy up. Now with all that out of our way, we get a good shot of the bike, and hopefully a clear shot of the carb here. Next, we're gonna remove our fuel tank. So we just got 1 tank strap that's held onto the frame. Then we have 2 kind of fairly long 8mm bolts holding on to the front of the tank. These are held in place with some bushings, so if you guys notice cracks or breaks in any of the rubber bushing area where the bolts go through, I would definitely recommend replacing those. I wouldn't want my fuel tank sloshing around. Let's take off the fuel line to the carburetor itself. So it has one of those goofy spring, I don't even know what they call these, clamps or retainer, and we're going to slide that out of our way. Make sure your fuel tank valve, your petcock, is shut off. Don't make that mistake, and we're gonna give it a couple wiggles. We're gonna drain that out. Probably give that a quick wipe. It is fuel after all, even if it is bad. Don't want to get in the way. Try not to get your spider web of fuel lines tangled up, and then we're gonna pop the fuel tank right off. It's pretty dirty. Probably have to clean that up. Yeah, it's definitely a mess. Look at that. Yeah, even some spider nests tucked up there along the frame. We'll get that out of here. I kind of don't like spiders anyways. And now just check over everything real quick. Do kind of grab stuff, make sure nothing's coming loose or it looks like it's broken real quick, and just give it another quick eye over. Now we're gonna loosen up the carburetor here. Some guys would do this opposite. You can leave this tightened up until you loosen up all your lines and all that, but I figured I just didn't want to remember if I was gonna get anxious by the time I did the other stuff. So it's up to you guys how you guys are gonna want to go about this. But basically, in the next couple steps, it doesn't have to be done specifically this way. This is just how I do it. We're gonna take the little cover for the throttle and all the linkage that runs through. We're gonna take that cover off real quick. That is a 4mm Allen screw, socket head cap. And now we have full access to all the cables and linkage. And you see, oh, it's even gummed up. I can feel it. You can see it. It's returning kind of weird and sluggish and slow. Well, we'll get to fixing that here in a little bit. I couldn't move the shield out of the way, that rubber boot. So WD to the rescue. Get that out of the way. All the throttle linkage, retainer, nuts, and bolts and pieces here are all 10mm. So one wrench should do all this for you. This is easier for me to take both of these off and kind of give them a lot of slack. And then you can wiggle these out of your way. That's a bad shot. I guess I can't show you guys on that lower one. I believe that's a return. No, I think that's the throttle, actual throttle one. The return up top here, maybe I can get you guys a better angle and show you guys how to kind of take. These have a groove that you slide the cable out. So if you need to wiggle or even open up the butterfly and pull that cable around and move it, but it should pop out. There you go. Got it. And then we just make sure that guy's loose and pop it out real quick. These have probably been sitting that way for years because I'm guessing since I haven't touched it, nobody else has. So we're going to wiggle that out of the way. Don't cut the zip tie if it is the Honda factory one. These are reusable zip ties. That is a nice feature of those. All right, now that the zip tie's out of the way, you can get to the throttle position sensor harness plug, and this lives right under the fuel tank. As I was saying before, this is unnecessary to do this side of it. If you guys want to leave the fuel tank and the fairings and all that front stuff on, you can unbolt the throttle position sensor right from the carb. Wow, that is a tongue twister. But you can unbolt the throttle position sensor right there from the carburetor. But I'd rather pull it all out and show you guys on the bench. And here we go. It's out, guys. Looks like we got one more thing to do, and that looks like our hot start lever. Yep, a hot start, and I can't get it out by hand. All right, let's get a wrench real quick. The hot start lever is a 14mm. And this basically is just a choke, but in the opposite direction. Instead of adding more fuel, you're going to be taking away fuel when the bike has been warmed up and is basically been running a while. So this definitely helps in starting stuff up, and your modern computer systems and fuel injector stuff, this is all done by the computer. But this cool dirt bike is done by you with a hand lever. So there we guys go. Carb is off. Let's get ready to tear this thing down. Thank you guys if you come this far and watching the whole video. Really appreciate it. There is 3 parts to this, as I said, and there is an ASMR version where basically I don't talk, and it's going to be the whole thing all in one. So if you guys like that, go ahead or like this stuff, go ahead and check some of that out. See you guys in the next one.